Hi guys, we are hiking today on a very popular trail, so this might be spliced together, but it's a gorgeous Saturday and we decided to go on a walk with our packs. They're almost fully loaded. We just took out food from our hike yesterday. We decided to hike Mount Zion, the Washington area, with fully loaded packs, and it was a pretty good hike. We sadly, due to time constraints, were not able to make it to the top. We just made it to trail later than we wanted to, and we had a family thing come up. So we quit a mile from the top, so it's 4 miles up, 4 miles back. So we only were able to do 3 miles up, 3 miles down. It was still good though. It's a heavily elevated trail.
Oh my gosh.
And I did it without my knee brace. I only wore it for the first mile, and then it felt good enough that I wanted to test it out. And the whole entire hike didn't hurt even once, even with all the steps and the elevation, and even coming down, which shocked me. So honestly, I'm feeling really good. Right now, I'm not wearing my knee brace currently, and who knows how far we'll go today. We don't have any time constraints really today, so we're just going with the flow to see how many miles we get. Yep. But mainly we're wearing our packs because it sits the weight that we have better than our weighted vests.
So with our weighted vests, we can wear them for a short distance, but pretty soon they start wearing on your shoulders because there's no
hip support.
Belt. So
yeah.
20 pounds constantly on your shoulders after about 5 miles hurts. And today we wanted to go long, but we also wanted to go heavy. So we're going to wear our packs loaded, which you all should do before you hit the trail the first day, so that you can figure out where things are, what needs to be changed. Mm-hmm. I think I have too much weight in mine when I'm fully loaded with food, so, you know.
Yeah, we're still working on her weight. Mine's actually pretty good. I feel really good about my pack right now. The only thing is I'm trying to figure out this stupid straw system. It's not stupid, I love it, but there's just little kinks that I keep having to work out, and I can't figure out, like, the perfect solution. And of course, you can go through these things on trail if you don't feel like doing too much training, but it is a lot easier when you're at home. You have tools at home to fix things. There's a store nearby. You're not pressed for time.
Close.
Yeah. So anyway, gorgeous day on a hike, and we're excited to film a video while we walk for you guys.
Today, we are going to impress you with our vocabulary. In particular, our hiking vocabulary as it relates to a thru-hiker.
Yeah.
Because we will be saying things that you're like, what did she mean by LNT? What the heck is LNT? We're teaching you today.
Most of these can be found on the internet. In fact, that's where we pulled almost all of them from. So we have a list that we can go through with you today. And coming up on our right, I just wanted to share with you, there's horses!
Oh,
look at the horsies. It's not like I work with them every day, but it's still really cool. See horsies. Look. I'm not going to touch them because that's not okay unless you know the horse. But we have horsies. And little ponies. They're so cute. It's a big horse.
Okay, first word is thru-hiker. So, a thru-hiker is someone who completely hikes a long trail at one go. But who's really keeping score? Call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. We're thru-hikers.
There's a lot of discussion on what a thru-hiker actually is. Some people debate that if you get off trail for a section and then come back a month later to finish the trail, or even a year later to finish the trail, you're not an actual thru-hiker. And some people believe that it's fine. As long as you keep at it and you string a good chunk of the trail together at one time, you are a thru-hiker. Now, it really is just up to you whether or not you believe you are a thru-hiker and what your definition of a thru-hiker is. Our definition is kind of just as long as you keep at it and you keep going and hike available miles. and be safe about it. That's what we really care about.
And then there's section hikers. A section hiker is somebody who hikes a large portion or section of a long trail. And they are sometimes called lashers, L-A-S-H, for long ass section hiker. Okay? Whatever you want to call yourself whatever you call yourself, because guess what? You put a backpack on, you walked, you're a hiker.
And also you're badass. Okay, next up on our list is blaze. So a blaze is a mark that distinguishes a part of trail. Normally it is a line found on a tree, a rock, or a pole. And there's different colors that indicate different things.
So a white mark usually denotes that you're on the Appalachian Trail. A blue usually means that you're doing a waterway. And sometimes you can hear somebody say, well, you yellow blazed it. Usually that means that you were on the roadway, usually in a car, sometimes on your feet. Some people frown upon those things, but you know what? We can't do it all walking, so,
as long as you're safe. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. You have to be safe. So yeah, those are blue blazes, yellow blazes, white blazes.
And the other trails have different colors.
Yep. Now, the Pacific Crest Trail, they have different blazes that they use, but for the most part, they just do their crest, the crest that they have, and they put those on trees. So there's not really a blaze for the PCT.
Not a colored blaze.
Not a colored blaze. It's more of a signia. Okay, the next one is something called a cairn. No, it is not a woman's name. It is a stack of rocks.
It's used to mark a trail. So a cairn is a stack of rocks that you will put like in a snowfield where there's no trees to mark the trail. You can't put a blaze anywhere because it's a snowfield, or above the tree line. Or it's a place known for a lot of fog. A cairn is kind of sometimes easily seen in the distance. So you'll do a stack of rocks. A couple summers ago, we actually kind of went on our own little trail, literally walking up basically a water
ravine.
Yeah, a little
Runoff,
so
yeah.
We were marking our path with cairns so that if we had to turn around, we knew which way we had come. So that's what you would use a cairn for, but it's not a woman.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I've heard from different podcasts and stuff like that, that sometimes it's not a good idea to do a cairn unless you can in that area, because it can sometimes disrupt the ecosystem. So just be mindful if you are going to use a cairn. Where are you? Is it allowed there?
And never knock one down.
And never, ever knock one down. Now, sometimes, as an artist, I know this, they are used as like an art form. So yeah, they're not just for trail too. Yeah, pretty cool. Okay. Look at that.
That's the Olympics.
Oh, so pretty.
Hey, our next word is slack pack. Slack pack is basically having your backpack leapfrog you on trail. So you don't have to carry as much, and most of your weight is moved up 10, 15 miles, and then you hike to it. It's either done by somebody in a car, or you put it there, and then you take a car or a ride somewhere down below that, and then you hike up to it. I wish we could do it for the whole trail, but no such luck.
I mean, kind of the beauty of the trail is you take up everything with you, so wouldn't really want to cheat that. Okay, next we have something called a zero and a Nero. So first is the zero. So zero means that you have hiked 0 miles or trail miles that day. Normally you'll get into a town and then you'll spend the next day doing just town chores and not walking on trail. So you might walk around the town a bit, but there's no miles put towards the trail, if that makes any sense.
No forward progression.
No forward progression. Now, a Nero is when you hike something like under 10 miles that day. So normally it's like 4 miles, and then you get into a town, and then you spend the rest of the day in town. And then you can either add a zero the next day, or you get back on trail. Or A narrow can also be the other way, where you spend almost all that, you start in town and you spend almost your whole day in town, and then at the very end you do like 5 miles of trail. So those are narrows and zeros.
The next word is flip-flop. We have no clue if we're going to flip-flop because we haven't hiked it yet. So a flip-flop is where you start and then you come to a section of the trail that for some reason or another you need to get off, and then you start a little further north or south depending on which way you're going, and then you hike some more. Some people flip-flop where they change directions, and sometimes you continue the same direction with the idea that you'll come back and collect those missed miles for whatever reason. And there's many reasons that you can miss the miles, whether it be a forced that you have to come off because of forest fire, or the agency that's in charge of that trail requires everybody to get off. Sometimes
Endangered species.
Endangered species. Sometimes they're permanently closed. Whatever the reason is, you have made that decision to flip-flop. A traditional flip-flop is usually you go most of the way north, and then you go to the northern terminus and come back. But there's many different definitions of a flip-flop.
Okay, the next two on our list are kind of similar in their trail angel and trail magic. Yes, they are two different things. Now, trail angel is more of the person who is providing trail magic. A trail angel can also be somebody who offers up their house or a phone number so that you can just text them when you're in their area and ask them to do something for you, like pick you up at a trailhead, or even just like bring you in a drink of water or a food item or something like that, or honestly anything. Trail angels are normally up to helping you with anything. Now, trail magic is often something that only happens on trail. Now, it's a spot where trail angels will put together like a breakfast buffet for all the hikers that hike through that area that morning or the day. They also can do things like they'll go through your pack and strip it down to what you need and get rid of things you don't need. There's a lot of different types of trail magic. There's also things where they can store like a water cache where they'll leave water for you. And that's another thing, is what a water cache is.
Yes.
Now, a water cache is where you have water bottles or gallon bottles of water where in a place where there's not known to be a lot of natural water sources. So people will place a lot of water in that area for hikers to collect. So, you know, it's safe and we get water.
And we should never expect trail angels or trail magic. That's why it's called magic or angels. And the other thing is that if you are providing trail magic, you never leave it so that that animals can get into it and ruin it. So like leaving food out for somebody. And in particular, if you leave something out, you got to come back and collect whatever trash might be hanging out around that, because all of a sudden your trail magic is no longer magic and it's a trail mess. So be careful if you are providing.
Also, if a bear does get used to the idea of the food being there, the bear could very well have to be euthanized, and that's not okay. So please be mindful if you are going to do trail magic or trail angel. Put a little research into the area you're going into and stay there. Be there with your food the whole time. Make sure it's managed and monitored, otherwise it can end up in a loss of a life. So yeah. Okay, the next one is hiker midnight. So hiker midnight is when all the hikers kind of settle down in their tents and we all are kind of going to be respectful by being quiet. Now this happens around 9 p.m. It's then because that's normally around when the sunset happens. There's not much to do. Everyone's exhausted from their trek the previous day, and it's just nice to be polite by being quiet. Now another thing to observe, it's not really part of hiker midnight, but it's an etiquette thing where if you are hiking at night, don't use your bright white light in your headlamp. Use a red light, especially when you know you're about to cross paths with a tent, because the white light is bright enough that it can wake the people inside the tent, and it's just rude And so if you use the red light, it helps dilute it enough that it won't wake people up.
Next is the bubble or the pack. The bubble is a group of hikers that are roughly within about 50 to 100 miles of each other. They're usually a big group. And there's a good part of this in that there's safety
In numbers.
And especially when you're going into some sketchy places like the mountains or even a town. But it can also be a hindrance in that campgrounds or camping sites don't have enough for all the tents to be put up. Or there's resources, like you come to a water cache and not everybody can get water because the amount of hikers there will deplete all the water. So there's pros and cons to being with the bubble. Hopefully there are more pros than there are cons, but there are cons.
This next one is super important to us. This one is a thing called Far Out, which is an app. Now, it used to be called Gut Hooks, and it just this past couple of months changed its name to Far Out. Now, we unfortunately will slip up and we will call it Gut Hooks every once in a while, so bear with us. It is Far Out. They're the same thing, just different names. Now, this app is a navigation app. A lot of hikers use it, and you can download sections of a trail, for instance, the PCT, and it will show you spaces that are big enough for campsites. It will tell you if there's fire closures, water. It also tells you when you're close to a town, different things like that.
It shows you exactly where you are on the map.
Yep, and it shows elevation, all that. Now, there are other navigation apps, but this is the one we've decided we are going to use. Another feature on it that's really useful is called commenting. Now, that's where you can comment whether or not the water source is plentiful or is it dry, where the next water is. Yep, if there's water caches. So yeah, you can communicate with your fellow hikers. So normally you'll see comments from people a day ahead of you. And if you can, if there's a difference, put it in the comments. Help your fellow hikers, help the people behind you by commenting whether or not there's new information.
Next is dry camping. Very simple. You're camping not near a water source. So any water that you need to bring with you. And I'm not talking about water that's just like, 20 feet from where you are. You should be actually further from the water source when you set up your camp anyway. But there's a distance to walk to your water source. So that's dry camping. The next one is sun cups. Sun cups we will experience if we are in a snowfield, usually in the Sierra. It is where the snow starts to melt unevenly and usually leaves a little indentation, kind of like a bowl or a cup. These are dangerous because they're uneven, they are slick, they break ankles, they twist ankles. They're nasty to walk across. It's almost as bad as post holing. Post holing is where you are walking across the surface of the snow. It's nice hard pack, and then you get to some soft snow and literally your leg goes down into it, sometimes up to your knee, your thigh. That is just as dangerous because you don't know what's underneath your foot. Could be a rock to scrape you up, could be a rock that you land on and twist your ankle or break your ankle. And on top of that, they are very hard to get out of because you've got 30 pounds on your back because you're in the mountains, so you need your bear can. And just getting out of a post hole is nasty. So both of those, post holes and sun cups, are pretty nasty. You don't want to encounter them when you're hiking. But if you do, be calm, be patient, and be kind to those behind you and in front of you.
And be safe. The next thing is microspikes. Now, microspikes are basically your chains for your tires, but they're chains for your feet. They have little spikes on them that can help you grip on an icy surface. Now, microspikes don't do a whole lot if you are on a slope. It's mainly just for a flat, easier grade than a steep incline. There's another thing called crampons, which are basically microspikes, but they're just more advanced. They're a lot longer. Now those ones are a lot easier or a lot safer for the slopes. Now the next thing is an ice axe. which is basically, think of it like a pickaxe basically, but it's light and it's meant for self-arresting when you're hiking. Now, self-arresting means you're saving yourself from a steep incline fall. So in snow conditions, if you slip on the ice and you just start tumbling down the hill, it's really deadly. So you have your ice axe in your hand and you can sink it into the snow and hold it and kind of just skid yourself to a stop with your ice axe. Yeah, super important to have if you're ever going through a very snowy conditioned area.
Next is base weight. Basically, everything that's in your pack minus your consumables. Water, fuel, food. And you want this to be low, but you don't want to go so stupid low that you put yourself in danger. Like you don't take a puffy, and now at night you freeze. Or you don't bring extra socks, and now you get hypothermia because your feet are cold. So you want to get it low, but not stupid low. You also want to be comfortable, because if you can't sleep at night or you can't be comfortable while you're hiking, you're going to have problems.
Okay, next is pack weight. Super simple. It's almost the same as your base weight, but it's everything. Consumables, clothes, everything. Okay, the next one, I'm so excited. I'm gonna do this one. It's hiker trash. Now, I am so excited to be called hiker trash. This is our hiker trash uniform right now. Now, what is hiker trash? It is a badge. It is a badge of honor to be called hiker trash. Now, hiker trash is what hikers call themselves, especially the thru-hiker. You smell bad, you look bad, you basically look like trash. You look and smell like trash. So you're hiker trash. It's great. Cannot wait to be called that on trail. Love it. Okay, so this video seems to be going a little longer than we want to post it, so we're gonna split this into 2 parts. But for now, we'll see you on the trails.